to a place we will stand. Stand proud, no fear. It's clear, I believe in you. I believe in me. Oh yeah. I believe that we can make this dream a reality. Yeah, yeah. Now's the time to be. Now's the time for miracles. Oh, it's in my heart so deep. 'Cause I believe.
Yes, I believe. Good morning, Baltimore. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. What a gorgeous day.
Amen.
Thankful for just to be alive. The old word goes, it's better to be, what is it, viewing than being viewed.
Amen.
Well, we're happy that you agreed to join us. We thought Davon was going to be here, but evidently he didn't make it. I knew you guys were from Baltimore, but then during the Freddie Gray uprising, I started seeing Davon on MSNBC quite a bit, and I was not only proud, but I was sort of amazed. How old is Davon?
30. He just turned 30.
My Lord.
He just turned 30. Well, you guys are wise beyond your years. And how did this organization come about, and what is it about? Could you tell our listening audience?
Yeah, so basically what we founded LBS in 2010, and we were a bunch of students at Towson University. And essentially we did a bunch of on-campus organizing with the Black Student Union and a bunch of other student organizations on campus. And we were former debaters at Towson, so we did a bunch of competitive policy debate on the national level. And so we did that for a few years. And so when we were finished school, we were like, well, what can we do to transform some of these skills that we've kind of acquired through policy debate and kind of our advocacy on campus, and how do we translate that into real things for our community in Baltimore? And so when we graduated college, that's the first thing we wanted to do. We came back and we founded our organization in Baltimore as a think tank to focus on public policy, because that's what we were good at. And so we've been doing that for about 7 years.
7 years. What was your major in school?
I think
He's forgotten.
so, I think it was actually social justice. They let me pick that as a major at Towson.
And there was a curriculum designed for it?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Of course, we know with their HBCUs got something like that too, but that's just interesting to know that there was, but of course they copy so that the white kids won't have to come to the black schools, whereas they're not fooling anybody. We know what the deal is. Well, there is a lot going on in the city, and I was at a meeting, I guess it was about a month ago, a breakfast at the Downtown Cultural Arts Center sponsored by Rennie Bass, and we were talking to the mayor about funding and how we were going to get money to help in our programs for young people and set up systems for them, and she directed me to you and Davon. Could you tell us why she directed us to you?
So what's happened, I don't know if your listeners are familiar, but Baltimore City Council President Jack Young advocated for the youth fund, the $12 million Children Youth Fund, to go through City Council, and it got approved by voters via referendum in November. And essentially what it did is that it created a $12 million fund from property tax dollars and a non-lapsing fund every year, starting this year on July 1st. And so the issue has been, up to this point, how do we govern that money, and how do we make sure that those resources get to the hands of community? And so, none of us in LBS, none of us work for local government or anything like that, but we were contacted by Jack Young's office to help figure that out. So I was co-chair of the task force for this money for the $12 million youth fund, and essentially offered recommendations to the city council on how the resources should be governed, what's the structure for it, what's the recommendations for the types of groups that should get money, that kind of stuff. And so that ended about a couple months ago, and I'm pretty satisfied with what we came up with in terms of the recommendations, which basically included designing a new intermediary, a new structure for it, so that way it will be community owned and community run. making sure that the board and that the board of that organization has primarily community folks, and also that in terms of who decides where money goes, that it's not a program officer that works at some other entity, that it's community folks who are looking at proposals, and that they're the ones deciding where resources go in their community. So there's a lot of that stuff throughout the recommendations from the task force, but I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty proud of what we came up with.
That's very interesting. So it will be community centered, and there won't be some bureaucrat sitting somewhere saying yay or nay.
Exactly.
You have total autonomy.
Exactly. And see, that's the thing. The difference between what we're offering in terms of the recommendations and what's traditionally happened, most people, when you have a fund like this, it typically goes to the Family League of Baltimore, which is the local management board for Baltimore City. And they get all the resources from the governor's office and the local government in terms of resources for children and youth. That's about $20-some-odd million, $25 million a year. And so what people have said about the Family League is what any criticism you can hear about any nonprofit is that there's no transparency, there's no accountability to community, there's no method that we have as community folks to get resources to our community. We just have to rely on who works for the or the nonprofit organization to make sure that they do it. And this new intermediary that we recommended to the council, one of the things is ensuring that there's a public process that people have to go through in order to even be on the board for the new intermediary. And so you have to go through what we recommended was Baltimore City Council's Executive Nominations Committee, and that's the only public process that we were familiar with where people could actually go through a public process, testify in public, disagree in public, and hold their elected officials accountable for who goes on certain commissions, like any other commissions for Baltimore City. But that's the difference between like the Family League and this, is that you don't know how anybody gets approved to be on the Family League, how they make their hiring or firing decisions, what they do on a daily basis in terms of their operations. We just know that they put out a report and they say what they do, but we don't have any way of holding them accountable directly.
Nor are there witnesses or testimonials.
Exactly.
They're not required to bring them to verify.
Right. Exactly. They're not.
So who? And this is a 501(c) organization.
Family League.
Yes.
Yeah. They're the local. They're designated as the local management board, and I think that except for maybe a few jurisdictions, like Baltimore is unique in the sense that it has what they call a quasi-public agency, where it's a partnership between local government and a private entity to like essentially be the local management board. But the thing is that there's lots of quasi-public agencies around the city, including the Baltimore Development Corporation, which people know is like a white corporate development arm for the city of Baltimore. But that has the same exact issues. We have no transparency, no accountability to community for that organization either, even though it's essentially tasked with creating the development strategy for Baltimore's future. And that's the same that's the same problems that exist with that organization.
Well, we work very closely with the Baltimore Development Corporation, and they have been just simply wonderful. I have to tell you, that has not been our experience. Not only have they been transparent, but they have been on the battlefront for recalcitrant landowners who didn't want to let us do what the community wanted to do. They have been very forceful and very effective for us. I know, and I've heard the horror stories. Don't get me wrong, I've heard the horror stories, but we can testify that they have been very, very good for Dolefield.
And we can testify to the horror stories. You know what I'm saying? Because this is, still recent time. We've been fighting to get this area redeveloped for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And just this past year, everybody has come to the table because we really made the point to get everybody to understand that it takes all of us. You know what I mean? You know how difficult it was to get the business owners down there to work with us, let alone work together. And all of them are from total different backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? You got some Nigerians down there, the Koreans down there, the Spanish down there. You know what I mean? And then the African Americans, us, we down there fighting for our position. It's like, we got to work together to get to, accomplish what we want. Jason Rodriguez came through, got the Metro PCS down there. Rennie Bass and the other brother from the Turret Cafe, we were able to put a restaurant down there. You know what I mean? So, it was, and really, we've known the horror stories. We grew up right here in Baltimore, all of us. You know what I mean? So it's like, why are we still beefing with each other, then beefing with the city agencies, then beefing? It was like, just didn't make any sense. So my hat is off to everybody for coming together and putting a hand in the circle and saying, we're going to do this. You know what I mean? And it took, the Unification Solutions, the Majority League, the group of folks, you know what I mean? And when we say that name, that is just an umbrella for everybody. When I'm shouting out stuff on Facebook or Instagram, you always hear me say Roots of Scouting or RTV Project or, you know what I'm saying, whoever come to mind at the time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to shout out everybody that's doing something.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is the platform for all of us at this point in time to make change. You know what I mean? So,
and speaking of change, I have been, even before Wayne joined the show almost 7 years ago, I have been talking about the water fountains, about the lead in the water of our schools, and just could not believe that this could be going on in an urban city.
Right.
But then we know Flint, Michigan, so we know that it is not only here, it's in a few. In fact, I was just reading the other day, it's in Chicago. But the Baltimore Sun reported on yesterday that the Baltimore school system aims to make water fountains safe again. The Baltimore school system is taking steps to make drinking from school water fountains safe again, a decade after lead contamination prompted officials to ban students from using them. They're bringing in this company from Minnesota, and they're going to put filters on those fountains. I don't know what took them so long. We all have filters in our houses. We buy filters and put in our water in the refrigerator. We pour it through there, and they work. And do you know that there is this guy, I'm going to fill up his name, who says that they should be taking this money and paying teacher salaries and not worrying about that. So this guy is a complete Dumbo, because if the kids are getting lead poison, they're gonna, it just doesn't make any sense. How can you be so obtuse? And they all know what that word means. It means asshole. Okay, that's exactly what it means. So
only he got the right to say that.
But you know, Patrick and Adam and everybody, there's no contradiction. Do what you're supposed to do with the water fountains, because it's overdue. It's outrageous that it hasn't been done. Our kids are poisoned. And you also hire and rehire those people you fired a couple of months ago, saying you didn't have enough money. There is no priority higher than education. There should not be.
Right.
And so if the police department is getting the majority of the budget, then you better adjust that and find out how we can ensure that the Baltimore City Public Schools are second to none in terms of the resources they're provided and the people, the professionals, the paid professionals and paraprofessionals who are an essential part of making education work in our city. And to have fired those people because allegedly you didn't have the money, this is outrageous as far as I'm concerned.
The teachers.
That's right. And I can't blame just the Republicans. I can't blame the governor without blaming the Democrats, because the Democrats control the legislature here. So I have to look at both. If you're talking about politics, I've got to look at the pile of tricks coming from both political parties.
The pile of tricks.
Pile of tricks.
I like that play on the word.
Coming from both parties in terms of their neglect and their denigration of and misrepresentation of the needs of our youth. It is absolutely an outrage that we're not prioritizing public school and public education.
Leo, I agree with you 100,000%. I was just reading in the paper yesterday in Denver, Colorado. $300 million from marijuana sales is funding the whole education department. They are sending checks to the residents of the state because they have so much money. They are building small houses, little houses for the homeless. The drug addicts, they're treating them. They have so much money, and yet we can't get this passed through. Now, I'm with those people who stopped the legislation because it had no minority contractors and for the foremen. I'm with that. I understand that. But when you say that we have been neglected, see, we got to go back to the poison that O'Malley did.
Yes.
When that money was appropriated from the lottery, and they said that the money was supposed to come in, they fixed it. O'Malley fixed it, put legislation in there where if the money came in, it didn't have to go there. They could take that money and put it in a general fund,
Outrageous.
and the state, and then the state could do it. And this is what they've been. The reason we don't have the money for schools
It's because they've been taking that money and putting it into that fund, and the state has been using it, sending the money to rural areas to do what they need to do, and then talking about us because of what we can't do. And this is from Commissioner Davis's mouth, the Commissioner of Police. When you say Baltimore down there, up there at Annapolis, they say, "Oh, that's y'all's problem." When the monies that should be coming here, $3 million, is spent every month on lottery tickets in Park Heights alone.
Well, O'Malley the Snake was supported by the president of the state senate in that regard, Mike Miller, who considers himself God, and Mike Bush, the Speaker of the House of Delegates.
But where were our people? Where were the people we voted
The
for?
legislative
Why didn't
black
they say
caucus?
something? Yes.
Because they were allowing themselves to follow the path of the walking dead. They simply were programmed, have been programmed and brainwashed into an acceptance of the status quo. And I've called individuals out. I've called Nathaniel McFadden out because he's president pro tem, I believe, of the state senate. I've called Dolores Kelly out. I'm talking about veteran legislators who've been in there 25, 30 years, black folks in Annapolis representing or misrepresenting our interests because they've been compromised and they've sold us out. So again, we can't, I know the white folks run the plantation, but I know they've got workers beneath them, and those workers, those field hands, as it were, are the black legislators who allow themselves to be marginalized, misused, and used in a way to abuse the interests of our people.
Yes, and it's sustained. And we keep
It's a
voting.
sustained.
Yes, we keep putting them back in office.
We keep putting them back in office.
To Stephen, I know you were holding for a long time. We normally take callers at the top of the hour. So if you're calling, I'm going to take PFK Boom right now because I need to hear from my brother.
Janice.
How are you? That was Stephen Janice? Oh, it was? So he'll call back in and lock him. Hold on for a moment. If Stephen Janice calls back in, please have him call. Give him the private line so we can lock him in. Hello there, PFK. How are you?
Thank you. What's up, 300 Ambassador? What's up, Pastor?
What up, big brother? How you feeling,
brother?
We're good. Thank you.
Definitely, well, we got some good news. We just had Baltimore Day for ones who maybe didn't know about that. And everything y'all talking about, what Baltimore Day is, which is our second annual Baltimore Day. Everybody remember the last year one we had with Draw the Line, Jamal Bryan, all that junk. And then this year. So we're exactly what everybody talk about right now on the phone with engagement, resolving frontliner issues and all that. That's what Baltimore Day was for. But what I really wanted to go into what Baltimore Day was for, and a lot of people don't hit on it, if you go on the ground, Pat, and ask the average 40-year-old, and then you ask the average 20-year-old, we still got this East Baltimore, West Baltimore thing, South Baltimore. What you can do in Emerson Avenue, you cannot do on Poplar Grove. Like, everybody is trying to make these proposals or create these new environments. It's not specifically for a certain community. Like how Wayno is doing Dofield, everything that's going on in Dofield starts with the A, like of the community first, all the way down to the wino and what Wayno did to bring it all the way up to be able to see what grants he would go for, go ahead and see who he would attack to try to get the better needs for the community. I think a lot of people, when they do these organizations, they have their ego and their personal agendas in there. And within time, the truth comes in the light, and then all of a sudden, when certain things don't go right or it has not been able to continue, they find out there are. With all I just said, we all keep our hearts clean. Pick a position. My position is East Baltimore, Bel Air, and Edison area. That's PFK Boom's area, along with the Nation of Islam and many that's helping in that area. If you're from East Baltimore, link up with the like minds who just said what I said. We all attack Bel Air and Urban. We all attack Chester Street together. East Baltimore, Wayno and them handle West Baltimore. Somebody handles South. But for someone to think that they're going to govern the whole Baltimore and say my plan is right, your plan might only go as far as, it's like a baton. I'll take the baton for East Baltimore, then I pass it to South Baltimore, then South Baltimore, but I will come from East Baltimore to go to South Baltimore to help. I won't say anything. I just tie my boots up. I just do what they do and do what that community wants or what that liaison in that community wants. But everybody want to dictate over everybody, and that's not going to get us again where we want to go. They're going to take up much time, but again, if we would just sit back, see what programs are in our city that's working, people unite with stores like RTV Project is doing a great thing with Angie. Angie came off the porch with boots on. Her shoes probably got holes in it right now. Everybody know who she is now. Dude, take her template. Go ask a Jehovah Witness, what is your engagement plan? You see them every day. Ask those two young Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint young men that ride in everybody community, but I don't see them on the news with no violence coming to them. Ask them what's their engagement. How did they, you know what it is? Consistency. If you keep on seeing him, he's part of the community. But again, I thank y'all very much for your time. Again, Pat, keep mashing what you're doing. Wayne, you already know, but again, we all we got.
We need, bro.
And Jason, the situation over there that you got over there, big brother, is going to get taken care of. But everybody think that our situation is this like Rome. You know what I mean? We ain't going to do what the Romans do, but again, it ain't going to be something that's going to be done overnight. It's not going to be legislative. It won't be no captain, saver person that comes to join the police force and everything's great. No, it's going to be Wayno. It's going to be Pat. It's going to be Boone. It's going to be the normal citizen that make Baltimore the place that it need to be. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day.
PFK, hold on for a moment before you hang up. Now, you said something that's you said a lot of things that are really important. But the one thing that I think that we must realize that there isn't just one Baltimore. I took sociology 204, whatever, 504, the last course in it. And the one thing I learned, which shocked me, was that people do become tribes of their communities. It becomes a tribalism thing. And it works against them because, first of all, it keeps them disjointed from the whole. You know, it segments. And the one thing that we have, and I've been saying since I moved to the West Side, that I envision the West Side of Baltimore to be the Silicon Valley, because we have university, junior college, high schools, elementary schools, and kindergarten there. That's our vision for the West Side. What is the vision for the East Side, the South Side? What are we going to do, and how can we come together? And Wayne is absolutely right. There's more coming together and people working together than people actually want to recognize. And maybe they don't realize because we don't talk about it enough. But tomorrow night at Liberty Rec Center at 3901 Main Avenue from 6 to 8, the community is coming together to be talking about solutions. Now, y'all know Warren Brown's stepson was killed at that GPS there on Garrison. Yes, how long have we been talking about asking the police to come there and to clear that area out? How long have we been talking about it? 2 weeks ago, I got it on tape of Commissioner Davis saying he was going to do something about it. Captain Berg from the West Side. I've got these people, sent them emails and everything. But a noted attorney's family gets killed. Now you go up there, there's a police car sitting there 24/7. Why does it take that for our community, for somebody to get killed? But if they're famous or they come from somebody with money, then they get immediate action. How do we talk about that? How do we address that? And how do we stop this from happening? You need to come tomorrow, and everybody, I'm telling you to come together tomorrow, and I don't care what side of town you're on. Kim Trueheart is leading this up tomorrow at Liberty Rec at 6 p.m. Come and let us talk about it. And I got a big surprise for you all, because I believe I know the answer, because it's done before and the system worked here in Baltimore, and it's still on the charter to do it, and it's underfunded, and it only has 4 people, but there was a time it was a leading organization, and the police department shut it down because of their effectiveness. They took saved over $1 million in overtime from volunteers working as people on the street. So we know that there is a system that can work. Tomorrow night, I want you all to be there, and I want you to come, and I want you to hear about this system. It has worked. We know it can work. We're going to get it happening here in the city. We're going to stop this violence one way or the other. Now, the other thing I want to, PFK, I ain't going to hold you no longer, but we keep talking about our schools. I heard on Larry Young's show this morning, these incredible children, incredibly bright children who were just so thoughtful, whose vocabularies I not only was impressed with, but what really impressed me was what deep thinkers they were to be so young. We keep talking about our schools. I'm going to tell you, until the parents really get involved, there's not going to be a difference, man. My mama used to say, if the parents don't care, then you can rest assured the children don't care. Because what is important to the parent will be important to the children. So I just wanted to say that to you, and thank you for all that you do, PFK.
And thank y'all as well. We all we got, we all we need. Boots on the ground. I love y'all. Salute.
Love you too. Thank you, sir.
Salute.
Reverend Washington, how are you, sir? You have a question or comment?
Okay. How is everybody on the panel?
How you doing, big bro?
Good.
Good morning, sir.
I think that fundamentally we have to start taking over these boards, and we have to start doing what we should have been doing in the first place, patrolling our own community and really exerting our strength and our power. I come from the Black Power movement, the human rights movement, and what we did in the 60s was legendary in terms of us asserting who we were as people. I'm not talking about anybody else's people. I'm talking about the grassroots on up. I've been around, and one thing I can say that with the administration over there in D.C. and with the other that wants to maintain power and be in charge, so that we have to really decide what we want, when we want it, and how we're going to get it. Because we're in power in Baltimore City or Baltimore, Maryland, and everybody knows that. That's why everything is thrust upon us. But it's up to us, the Nation of Islam, the other groups, the
everybody, brother.
Everybody.
All of us.
going up.
Yes, sir.
So we have to take it back.
Yes, sir.
And-
Reverend Washington, I have a question for you, and I'm going to have to move on. But you said
Yes, sir.
everybody knows that we're in charge. I don't think so. I think hopelessness has become pervasive. I think people have just given up. Leo just talked about people that have been in office for 25 years, and they keep getting reelected. So there is a hopelessness there. And then those people that have been in office build cohorts of people that will support them no matter what. I have been to meetings and got up to talk, and they had all their cohorts there with them, and they booed me, which doesn't bother me at all. The truth is just the truth. If you're not being effective, your policies are ineffectual, if your policies are deceiving the people, we're going to call you out. So the thing of it is for you to say that we all know. No, we don't know. So many of us have given up. But I thank you for your time, Reverend. How have you been? You been well?
Yeah, and I've been wanting to get in contact with you. Would you call me after the show?
You know, Uchenna, can you hear me? Uchenna, he can't hear me. Will you take his number for me? He's going to take your number, and I'll get back to you, Reverend. Thank you for calling.
But I mean, you raised a very important point, Pat, and it's the not knowing that's hurting us, and then the folks who have got caught up and fell for the hopelessness, because we see the system, like you said, like Brother Leo said, we can hoop and holler about the Republicans, what they done, but we grew up in a democratic city. You know what I mean? All of our lives. So every issue falls at their feet. You know what I mean? So, I mean, at the end of the day, we keep saying that people know better. People do this. I had this conversation with the brothers in the community the other day. You can't expect somebody to just know.
No, because
you were raised
know
with
they know, right?
You know what I'm saying? Because you was raised with both of your parents, and your mother took you to church every Sunday, and his father took him to the mosque every week. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of us have not had none of those experiences. We're dealing right now. The biggest issue right now that we're seeing is the backlash of the crack era. All of these kids, we grew up in the '90s as the children, and those ones that were strung out and messed up. Now I'm seeing myself supporting their kids, trying to get them into the programs, trying to get them, you know what I mean? So
yes, Wayno, you're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. Don't you touch that dial.
WOLB Baltimore, a Radio 1 station where information is power.
Yes, it is power, but if it ain't power, it ain't no power if you don't do nothing with it. And that's what we got to start believing. It is power, and it is an embolder, and it is an informer. But you have to do something with the information. Leo?
Yes, I just wanted to offer my condolences to the family of Aaron Wilkes.
Oh, yeah.
1750 Darley Avenue. One of the great activists in our city, one of the great gentlemen.
Salute.
And he... I can't say enough about Aaron Wilkes.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
His viewing is Wednesday night at 4905 York Road at the Von Green Funeral Home, and then his funeral is on the following day, on that Thursday morning, wake and funeral, also at Von Green at 4901 York Road. But Aaron Wilkes set the bar very high, and it's very hard for many of us to adhere to his dedication. And so we want his family to know that we love him. We want the community to know that he will always be remembered for his greatness in our community. Let me also say that on yesterday, the Roots of Scouting organization, of which I'm chair and founder, praise God, had its wonderful day of dedication of our Youth Service Center at 1820 North Bentlow Street. And we had, I guess, 30, 40 people there, but people representing organizations. And our entire board was there. And things went extremely well. I'm so grateful to all of you for your continuing support. And on this show last Monday, I passed a note to Major Sharice Briscoe, the commanding officer at Western District. And she was a little bit late. She showed, and she stayed for an hour, she and her husband. So I'm just saying that
building relationships.
There is a way to overcome.
All right, Leo, hold up now. I wasn't intending for you to do that right there. Y'all see Coach Leo think this is show sometimes, so he just comes in and do what he wants to do, to do it. But I'll let you go ahead. I'll let you go ahead that time because we got people waiting on the line, and I was going to do that. I really wanted to talk about that, and I'm still going to talk about it because with the milestone that it means, that it is for Roots of Scouting and what you've been doing and fighting for so many years.
37.
Leo, 37 years. So we're going to get you that. Right now, we're going to go to Bubby. We know Bubby. How are you,
Brother Bubby? I'm doing well. Thank you much for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
I just want to start by saying 183 murders in Baltimore City. I know that they caught T.J. Smith's brother murder, but we are at epidemic proportion. This morning I waited at City Hall hoping to see Governor Hogan, but then they came out and said the meeting been changed and it's going down to now. We must understand that this has some type of systematic plan going on, eliminating our young men and women like this. Now, it seems like I heard Brother Leo mention Cherie Briscoe. She is the major of Western District.
Right.
She is the major of Western District. We need her to do some type of strategy to curb this violence that's going on in West Baltimore because it's going on all over the city. I heard Warren Brown's stepson was murdered and they placed the car at the gas station. Come on now. Come on. We need for Q to do the right thing and fire Kevin Davis immediately.
Amen.
I don't understand what is going on with white privilege in Baltimore City with an African-American ran city. Well, supposed to be. We know Greater Baltimore, but supposed to be. Now, come on now. If Davis was of a different skin color, David would have been fired last year. So in order for us to restore the confidence of our cities, at least the police are attempting to kill, but we know they lay down on y'all. But another thing.
You say at least we know what? I'm sorry. What?
We know that they quit in 21217. We know someone say take a knee. We're saying they quit. We're saying they quit. Yesterday was the first time we seen large numbers of patrol police out here because they knew the governor was coming today. That's the only reason. We knew the governor was coming today, so they had to make sure their faces changed. But nevertheless, we need leadership, and I'm going to get off at this point. While waiting out for the mayor arrived, and she waved to me, looking quite nice as always. She waved to me. She sent her assistant out to speak to me, Alpha Vance White. And I was dumbfounded with what the woman told me. She told me that the mayor had no authority to reinstate me. What planet is she from? The mayor is the chief executive officer of Baltimore City. The housing authority falls under her purview. So why are they trying to fool me? See, they want the legal action to come forward on them, you know, and they want to be embarrassed again. And they want to be, and they will be, because I got more guns and more bullets to shoot at them now.
He don't mean that. He means that. He doesn't mean that figuratively, you all. He's just saying that.
No, not literally.
Artillery.
Let me rephrase that. I have more information.
There you go.
I have more information that will be released as soon as the commissioner comes, or the executive director comes in July the 24th. I shall give her a whole note full of stuff. to be worried about. But thank y'all much, and God bless y'all.
Thank you, big brother.
Thank you, Bubby. We know Bubby has been indispensable in exposing the corruption that was in the housing authority. And so our hats off to you, and I just believe you're going to be restored, man. And I'm kind of surprised she sent somebody to talk to you and that they would discuss something like that with you, wanting you to know. But I still tell you all, when people talk to you about things, you got to document it. You got to send an email and say, per your conversation, this is what happened, and you document those things so that when you need to go to court or whatever you need to do, you got a paper trail. And that is your proof, because this he say, she say stuff, it don't hold up in court. It just doesn't, because there's no witness, and there's no way to verify it. So thanks, Bubby. He's gone. We got Eric Charles. I see you. I got two Charleses here. Brother Carlos, Eric, I'm going to go to you now. I've got some more questions for you, Adam, so don't get bored over there. All right. Eric, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment?
Hey, man, how y'all doing, man?
What's going on, big bro?
Great.
I'm chilling, man. Yeah, I was on an earlier show this morning. They was trying to ask, well, why a lot of the conditions or the people was acting the way they was acting in Baltimore. And I explained to them, man, you got to realize, you got to get in the trenches to see what's really going on. You have mothers that's working jobs that barely can pay the bills, and they got to go to social service for help. For food. And, kids living with roaches, living with rats.
Living with
the fathers that is in the kids' family, they feel inadequate as men because they can't provide for their families. And then, alcohol and drugs and all that plays a major role in our community. So you get the recipe of what's going on in the city today. You add all that up together, you get the recipe of what's going on in the city today, hopelessness and despair.
Yes, sir.
So look, man, I want to say to y'all, and I know Patrick and all y'all get around, man. My wife put me down with a spot that just opened up downtown called the Sandbox. It's right there off of South Carolina Street. It's on the harbor. It almost looks like they got it set up looking like it's a beach. It's sand and everything down there. You can see the boats drive by. I want y'all to go down there, man, because I was down there yesterday, and these people are oblivious what's going on uptown versus downtown. And a lot of these people I'm seeing, you can tell they not from Baltimore. Some of them might be working in Baltimore, might be college kids or foreigners, and they enjoying all these amenities of Baltimore, but the citizens of Baltimore is not enjoying it. It was an eye-opener for me, man, because it's like what's going on up on Emerson Avenue, Greenmount Avenue, those people that's downtown are oblivious, man. It was like a whole nother world down there, and I felt bad because I'm like, man, my people suffering. These people down here, man, they living like they... Like they living like that, the French Riviera or something.
Well, and they are, but they last year I read a report that 60% of the city, black and white, believe that too much has been invested in the harbor and not in the city. You're not the only one that feels like that, and we certainly feel like that. But then at the same time, who was that? We had a business over in Reservoir Hill. He been robbed how many times, Wayno, in 3 months?
Like 5 times.
5 times. So he's quitting the business. He's closing. So, we got to be realistic here about why businesses don't want to come. If you're afraid for your life, he just said it was just too much. He couldn't take it anymore. There's chances that somebody's going to buy the business. But why wouldn't the police sit there? You know what I mean?
They ask brother Leo, right? I'm quite, because I listen to all of y'all guys, but right now, man, they building so much downtown. It's buildings I didn't even know they was building down there.
It's another city.
Yeah, you just a strip of palm trees. And
it's unbelievable.
Y'all remember years ago, and I was telling my stepdaughter and the rest of the kids that was with us yesterday. I said when I was young coming up, all this was industrial area. It was factories and plants and stuff down here now. I said to see how it is now. It's like. It's shocking, man.
It is.
It's gentrification 101.
Well, you can't afford to live down in an apartment. It's $4,000 a month.
That's by design.
Yes.
And the Greater Baltimore Committee aids and abets that kind of circumstance.
Absolutely. You can park next to fire hydrants down there. Won't get no ticket. I took pictures of them.
That's why Baltimore.
I got to get back to work.
All right. Thank you for calling, Eric. Appreciate it.
That's why Baltimore is a tale of two cities.
Yes,
and as I said, that's by design. We're denied the resources necessary to fund grassroots community organizations or any positive endeavors. And if we don't raise our own money, whether it be GoFundMe pages or whatever, we're going to be in trouble.
But you know what, though? And I'm Kathy Pugh, I love you. And wish nothing but the best for you. But I cannot believe that you wouldn't go along with raising the minimum wage. See what that gentleman was talking about right there. Do you know that there is no city in the United States where a person can afford a two-bedroom apartment working on the minimum wage? No city in America. 2-bedroom apartment because of the minimum wage.
But Catherine Pugh has to follow the orders.
Well,
orders, and that's my opinion.
Yes.
I tell her that any day. You know, she's got to go with what the Greater Baltimore Committee wants, Donald Fry wants, what David Warnock wants, what Mayo Shattuck wants. The multimillionaires who control the Democratic political machine dictate policies in many directions, not the least of which is developmental policies and economics. And she can't rock that boat, even though she promised during the election she'd do it, but she did what she had to do to save her behind.
The Republicans are giving them tax breaks for the rich. Okay?
And they're going to continue.
And they're going to continue doing that. Why not? In every city where the minimum wage has gone up, new businesses started because there was money there for people to spend. I think Missouri, it just went from 10-something, went back to $7.98, and that's just pure racism. That's just came
that's
into
right.
the picture there, and we know that's what it is. They don't want to see us prosper, and the whole idea that the minimum wage is being kept at this low amount, knowing that you can't even rent a room for less than $400.
So my whole thing is that, so why is this still a debate for us? You know what I mean? For the older generation, you know what I mean? For our religious family, for our political family, why are we still debating about this? Why hasn't, any of us outside of the organizations that are here at this panel and this table, stepped up, put some money up, put some boots on the ground, you know what I mean, to ensure that at least one kid in your block go to college.
Well,
to
some
ensure
of them have,
that something that we can at least make sure that the neighborhood is clean.
Wayne,
you see what I'm saying?
Wait a minute, Wayne, hold up. I just read an article today that says 60% of all black females are molested as children. 60%. So why you think somebody's going to be worried about them going to college when they're molesting their nieces and their nephews and their own children? See, I think I hear you, buddy. I always listen to you, but I think that we're putting the cart before the horse. I think we got to start with these little ones.
Oh, absolutely.
We got to start with these little ones, and I want y'all to stop letting your children go visit folks, just staying over at night, your relatives. Y'all need to stop that because you have no control over what's happening. You need to watch Uncle Jimmy around your daughters. They'll never forget in that movie, Color Purple, where Oprah Winfrey said that a girl child ain't safe around a bunch of men, the family members. This just struck me when I read this morning, because I see the little girl. So an incident happened over at Liberty the other day, and the little girl was coming in and she had much attitude, too much of an attitude for some people. But then she explained that she had been molested, Wayne, and her anger. See, they take out her anger. They ain't gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell you. So I hear you, but until we understand that we got to stop and raise these children, we got to stop and love them and protect them. I'm just not sure anything else is going to happen, buddy.
But my thing is that there's a prescription for all of us, for every age group, for every, you know what I mean? Like, we have programs doing what we do. His brother Leo has programs. They have programs. Jason been working in East Baltimore. That's us. That's why I said outside of this table. You know what I mean? We have to still talk to the folks and push them and gear them toward these organizations. Because if not, these children are going to keep being molested. If it wasn't for Boom, the 300 Gangsters, Big Wolf, and a lot of these guys really going at these big heavy hitters inside of these gang organizations and saying, yo, we got to do something now. You know what I'm saying? If not, it's going to continue.
And
you know what I mean?
Because the tough challenge is in the absence of parents. There are so many youngsters today in the lost generation who don't have parents. So we have to, as a collective organization, we got to be involved in helping.
Look, check this out. We talked about this yesterday on Spirit. Sometimes y'all got to check out that little half-an-hour show because you can get some fire off that show. The thing is that at the end of the day, family, when we look around, we cannot depend on the church or politics. we are still using the same things that enslaved us to search for freedom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need to customize. You know what I mean? The needs. Just like Boone Carter said, he said Wayne, but it was Wayne and Pat that walked all around that Ashburton community for 2 years, trying to get the organizations up to par, trying to talk to the people in the community, say, what do we want? What do we need? You know what I'm saying? To come up with with the center. To get the businesses to invest in the same community that they're taking money out of. You see what I'm saying? It's like you have to find exactly what this issue is and find something that caters to it. We can't just throw Jesus at it. We can't throw Muhammad at it. We can't throw none of those politics at it.
There are two words in economics. One is micro and macro.
And we have to have a plan for both of them.
Well, you have to have, but I'm more interested in the micro at this point because the macro is just sometimes too in general. So what you were suggesting about people getting involved. See, what have I been talking about? I've been talking about starting a little book club on your front porch.
Yeah.
See, you don't need no building. You got your yard. Some Kool-Aid and some ice and books, and get the kids to read and see who's reading, seeing who needs help in reading this summer. You know, not just doing it when it's school time, when it's a casual atmosphere, but until we look at it from a micro perspective, that each one of us and on our street needs to get involved. You need to go talk to the next door neighbor. You know, we need to do something for these children. We need to make sure that they can read, because that's the biggest culprit. If they can't read by third grade, then after fourth grade, they don't teach them how to read anymore. And that's what we keep forgetting. So if they can't read, then they're handicapped for life, and they're on their way to jail or to some life that is not counterproductive for them and killing society.
And in many of our schools now, they don't teach them penmanship or cursive, and I'm still going to hit that theme because in a lot of schools, I'm not saying necessarily your school, but I'm saying they're saying the technology, the system is such that we no longer need the basics.
Well, it's proved,
which is crazy.
It's proved that cursive writing has a flow to it. But in this day and time, people are still talking about not giving kids calculators, which I think is totally asinine in this day and time. But you see, the thing of it is, people want to use that as a tool for children not being bright because they can't write cursively, when in reality, their mama didn't teach them how to write the straight way in the first place and didn't care whether they learned. That's the problem, because my kids over there at Liberty, man, I wrote their names for them in cursive and made little things for their desk, little nameplates for their desk cursively, so they could see how beautiful it was, how creative and gorgeous their name looked in cursive writing. See, we got to do things. It's important, but I don't think it's as important as it is the kid being validated for his brain and knowing that if he doesn't want to learn to write cursive, it's not some bad thing, Leo, is all I'm saying. What I'm saying is more important that he can write.
If you don't know your heritage and culture, and you see what they've done to us with this African Heritage Festival, which is the 12th of August, and they've downsized it from 3 days to 1 day, and nobody's saying a damn thing about that. The African Heritage Festival, funded by the city said they don't have enough money. So we keep going down the tubes because our leadership in a majority black city won't stand up. If you don't know your heritage, you can't know your future. You got to know your history.
I don't see any of the other festivals being compromised.
But a lot of them got independent funding. But you're right. But at the same time, Pat, what you said is very important. Regardless if they drop cursive or keep it, regardless if we're moving toward the technological era or not, our folks are still not being facilitated in none of those areas. That's true. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, regardless if they drop it or pick it up, when is it going to trickle down to us? We working with Jason on putting together some program to teach these young brothers and sisters on fixing computers, fixing tablets, fixing phones, because that's the future. How can we not see that? And we holding this technology in our hand, and none of our children are knowing how to create the algorithms to create the apps. And you know what
I'm going to tell you, Wayne, it would be more of it if your children wasn't acting like they in daycare. See, I see it. We can blame the teachers, we can blame the schools all day long, but it is almost impossible to teach children or to teach children how to think when those children are mad because you done beat them. They mad because they're hungry, and they come in there and they beat on each other, they hit on each other, they accuse each other, they try to get each other in trouble. When that mentality is there, when their parents don't pay them any attention, and they come to school and they got a little free time, and you know, Wayne, it's in your own family. We was talking about it yesterday with your
children. You know, the bottom line, he pays a lot of attention to his children. But children need to be micromanaged to the extent that they're being taught that the shortest time period in their life is from birth up until 10 years old. That's the only time they're going to get to be children. After that, buddy, everything changes. But we don't treat them like they're to become little adults or to become adults. We treat them like they're children, and they're to get over in the corner and be seen and not heard. We got to change that paradigm if we expect anything to change for our people. We got to teach our children to critically think and allow them to critically think and not be intimidated by their brilliance or by you feeling like they got over on you. Stop taking it personally. I was with the Jews this whole past week for my vacation, surrounded by them, and I explained to them the difference between our cultures and the way we teach children and the way they teach children. Their parents would ask them, instead of hitting them, well, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? They were encouraged to. When they're born, their parents say, oh, this is Johnny, the doctor. This is Mary, she's going to be the lawyer. This is so-and-so, he's going to be. And their parents start charting their courses from birth. From birth, but we don't see that. Realize my grandfather was a sharecropper. He had 12 girls trying to get a boy because he needed help on the farm, and he had 12 girls. Now, most people would say that was insanity, but why was he trying to do that? Because he needed help.
Yes, he did.
He needed help. So instead of us thinking of our children as a burden, we must realize that eventually those children are going to become our helpers, our sustainers.
But it comes from right there where you are talking about, Pat. This mentality of beating your kids. Where it come from? It come from slavery. This mentality of dogging them, thinking that that's going to help them.
Right.
You know what I mean? We read it and trying to get the sister on the air. Dr. Joy Deliri. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She has the book, post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where we talk down to our kids instead of uplifting them.
We've been programmed to hell.
But the thing is that we have to constantly pose the question: did we turn out all right?
Right.
Because all of us always say, "Well, it worked for me." You know what I mean? I turned out okay. Did you? Could you have been? We talked about it yesterday. That doctor or that lawyer
that you wanted
to be. That fireman, that policeman. You know what I'm saying? Or did you get it beaten out of you? You see what I'm saying? Or did everybody talk down to you or told you that you couldn't be that? We got to think about those memories and not allow it to happen to our kids. Because we're sitting around with our friends, the guys who I grew up with who didn't have fathers, and then turn around and then piss with the baby mother so you don't want to engage your own child. Didn't you say you wanted to be better? You know what I'm saying? When are you going to step up and break that chain? Change that cycle.
Yes, Wayne. Thank you, man. Charles, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. You have a question or comment, sir?
Yeah, I got a comment. Yeah, I've been listening for a while, and I've been wondering, out of all the solutions that we've been preferring, what solutions are actually working? What solutions do you know that we can implement that actually work? Because we've been talking about it for a long time, and I've been listening to you sit there filibustering for about a half an hour.
What have you done? Why you called into Larry Young's this morning and I heard you.
Can nobody hear each other, brother? Don't. Let's not get into that.
But I hope you're still listening.
He always does.
I hope you're still listening. And Larry asked you a very important question. He asked you, "What have you done?" You said you plant the seeds, sir. Seeds that don't get watered. Seeds that don't get nurtured do not grow unless they're weeds, and then you don't want them in your garden. And what you're talking about are weeds. Okay? I want you to know that, and I'm really sick. And
the older people and the adults are not looking out for their best interests. So we have a ditty here, and it's short, very short. It says, "Stay woke for the skin folk who are not your kinfolk. Stay woke for those who profess to be your friends, but who are false prophets. Stay woke for those who trash and backbite with jealous venom the downtrodden and the crestfallen, not realizing that, but for the grace of God, go them. Stay woke, for one day you will reap what you sow." This has taken hold across the country. Is espoused by Sharpton and others, and as a whole, if you Google this, there's a whole new movement that is coming out. And I want the young people in our community to stay woke with what's going on around them.
Yes, sir. I want them to wake up, too. And it takes a mentor to do that. Remember this, sir. And thank you so much for your call, and I'm going to look into that. I want you to remember that it is easier to mold and shape a child than it is to fix a broken man. Okay? And our children want it. But a child without a mentor is like an explorer without a map. You don't realize that simple feeding into a child's breath, into his life, that they can do it, to validate them, what a difference it makes in it. That's what I want to say, and I want to keep on moving. Senator Muse, I see you on the line, sir. I'm going to try to get through these calls as soon as I can. Richard, come with it. You have a question or comment?
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Oh, Richard, go ahead.
The right-hand people.
All right, please give them my number and ask me to call them. I want to talk to them.
That'll be no problem.
Thank you, sir. Let me see here. Sean is next, and then it's line 4. Hi, Sean. Come quickly with you. You have a question or comment?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I was down in Baltimore last Thursday, not this past Thursday, Thursday before, and it is a change in the city. You see the cranes all throughout the city. But the police, and what Wayne said about that book, I have it here on my shelf, and that changed my view. I don't have any children yet, but it kind of changed my view.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, when she brought up what she brought up, and people should go out and get that book. Yes, it changed my view on it. But the police, I see, like I was on a bus on York Avenue. Like I said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I left the city, and the police was at the stadium. But
hello, Sean.
We lost you, brother.
Oh, all right. Well, we lost you. Judy and Steve, I'm going to go to Senator Muse because I know he doesn't have a lot of time.
That's right.
That's line 2. Senator Muse, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, my friends. I'm doing well, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for calling. We know you're very busy. I wouldn't hold you any longer, but we really thank you for your time.
Those were informative comments that I was listening to, and of course, I'm from Baltimore, Park Heights Avenue, bred and born, so I know everything about Baltimore.
Wow, well, this is an even more formidable this call. I read a couple of weeks ago that Governor Hogan was doing something that I thought was a bit suspicious. It reminded me, I don't know why, the spirit of Black Wall Street welled up in me. And its destruction when I read that he was coming in doing some sort of investigations about the goings on of the people living there in PG County, which is one of the richest black communities in the nation. Could you apprise us or tell us what's going on over there that's bringing his scrutiny or his whatever you want to call it?
Sure. Let me start by saying that you're correct in that we are or were one of the wealthiest conglomeration of African Americans in the nation. But most of that wealth was in our homes. It was real estate equity that we had in our homes. When we allowed Bank of America and Wells Fargo, you know the story, and all to come into Prince George's County and blatantly take homes, phony modification projects, all else. It was a systematic way of taking the wealth out of Prince George's County.
Yes, sir, it was. I agree with it.
What bothered me about it is that neither party, Republican nor the Democrats, stood up to say, this is wrong and we're going to do something about it. We have another 6,000 homes. I just got finished saving maybe 4 of those houses by confronting the banks. A lady, 80 years old, with $200,000 of equity in her home, and they were about to just take it and put her in the streets. Where are the voices of our black leaders to stand up? And I have said to our leaders in our county, we have an office of law. Philadelphia has sued these banks. California, they've sued these banks. We've been hit the hardest, and nothing has come back to our homeowners. Where are our voices? And so the first thing we have to do is hold ourselves accountable, hold our party accountable, because the issues that they raise, and here's the problem, before I even get to Hogan, the issues that we raise when we talk about what is happening, the Democratic Party issues are not to be tortured and killed and was listed as property. So I see that as a right. It certainly is a right, and I think that civil right would be relative, but it certainly, for me, was not relative to the black struggle in this country that continues to go on still unnoticed and unchecked.
It reminds me of Aaron. Aaron felt that way. You don't get your rights before I do that. He wasn't against the marriage. He was just against, how they going to get their rights until we do. Well, there is a clause. I'm going to give it to you, Leo, that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think if everybody did, if white people believe that, and everybody believe, whether you believe in God or not, if those were the principal tenets of our lives, then this would be a much more civil place. Leo?
Senator Muse, I'm going to ask you to speculate, and you may not want to answer the question, but I don't understand why, when you ran or were running to be the first black United States senator, you did not garner the support of the majority of the legislative black caucus, nor did Sister Donna Edwards. I just think that when we talk about unity, we've got to walk it and not talk it. You want to care to get into that, or should we hold that in abeyance at a later time? I just think it's outrageous that we can't unify.
That's correct, and that's the problem. And again, as you know, I'm running for county executive at this point, but in running in that race, we have to ask ourselves, who are people listening to? We had a power structure, and we know the power structure as we talk about the Mike Millers of the world, the Steny Hoyes of the world, the people who run the party, who made a conscious effort and decision that if you do not play politics with them, you're not one of them. So if you're not one of them, it doesn't matter whether you are a Democrat or not.
Yes, that game.
Old boys.
Good old boy game.
On a Democratic primary, they had no business weighing in, and what they did across the board, from Martin O'Malley to Miller to Hoyer, they made a decision that we've got to defeat him because he's not with us on our issues. And no, I'm not with them on their issues when they're not the issues of my people.
Amen.
What they did was wrong, and as always, once Obama put a call in, he himself put a call in to all of Maryland asking them in a robocall to vote for Ben Cardin. No problems with that, except that was not the form in a Democratic primary. The rules are always broken when it comes down to the machine and machine politics.
Yes.
They are responsible, in my opinion. You want to know who's responsible for Trump? You want to know why we don't have a Democratic governor? It's because we have a Democratic leadership that is divisive. We have a Democratic leadership with a plantation mentality.
Amen.
They're going to crucify you. I don't have to agree 100% with you on everything, but can we agree together on those things that will lift our people and that will cause us to be able to stand independent of anyone when it comes down to our issues? I think that was wrong for them to do then. I'll see what they do on this election.
Adam?
Hey, Senator Muse, this is Adam Jackson. Actually, I'm curious because you mentioned that plantation mentality in Annapolis, and one thing that happened during this last session was the issue of bail reform, and how you co-sponsored a bill with Senator Bobby Zirkin on making sure that on repealing the rule that recently went into effect on July 1st. And so I'm curious, now that session is over, now there's election season coming up and sessions coming up. Just curious on where you're at on bail, because that was a contentious issue that happened in Annapolis.
I will tell you why I am on that. The book that's entitled Mass Incarceration, you know that book, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That is what I saw happening in Annapolis over this bail issue. And if you look at the numbers, since judges have been asked way back in October to use this new policy, more people are kept in jail. What I did not understand, and what I do see happening, is that we often get the same monster and we put a different coat on him and we say it's reform. When you're telling me that if as a black person I get pulled over, let's say DWI, I go into court and there's a bail issue there, and it says, well, you're going to get a $5,000 bail, right? For that means I got to pay $500, right? Now, that's it should have been. That's what my bill did. It made it that option, because on the other side, all I see and all we have done, sir, is to shift the funds from one industry to another.
That's not true, though, because if you have pretrial reform where bail is the last option, why are you making bail on the same playing field as other things like non-financial conditions for release?
But no, most of these places, even in our state, are not even set up for that. They don't have the programs. They don't have the funding for it. So in many places in Prince George's County, if bail is the last and it's supposed to be the least restrictive, and you're going to tell me I'm going to release you, but I'm going to release you with an ankle bracelet that's going to cost you $400 a month. I'm going to give you a curfew and then send you home, and you have to put in your own dedicated phone line so that we can know that you're home. Listen, if I haven't been found guilty of something, you can't treat me that way. If I'm a school teacher and I'm pulled over for DWI and the highest priority is for me to be able to get out with an ankle bracelet, and I got to wear an ankle bracelet into my classroom, I may decide that I want bail.
Go ahead, Adam.
But you and I both know, though, that the top 3 zip codes in Maryland that make the most money off of the bail, that make the most money off of bail, are all in Baltimore. It's over.
And who do you think making the most money off of the monitors now? And who do you think? I mean, read the stats. Who do you think is
right? I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. My question is, why not undermine the bail industry? Why not focus on reforming pretrial services so you're not shifting resources? If that's the argument, then you should. Why not reform pretrial services? It seems like the argument you're making is let's support the bail industry still, because there are people around the state of Maryland that are essentially benefiting from black people who are incarcerated and for crimes they did not commit, and most of the time are in jail, just pretrial, and not even in like actual prison, but in pretrial status, status inside of prison. So why support the bail industry?
And they're going to stay there. And if you saw what the compromise that I came up with in the Black Caucus and submitted that, the compromise was, you're right, we need to, the compromise bill, if you look at the bill and its final printing, was for this to be a study so we can figure out how do we get these funds, who's going to give these funds, because let me tell you something, you go back to even our black communities and say you're going to be the ones paying this with your taxes, your tax dollars are going to go up. That doesn't help either. What will help, and I have problems when I'm sitting next to our judges who are telling me in a hearing, we know we have racial disparities in the system, and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, you are the system. Fix it.
Well,
don't come giving me some half messed up solution to the problem when that's not the solution at all. The solution is, first of all, stop arresting half of these people. Secondly, the solution is if they're nonviolent, get them out of there anyway, but don't give me a list of 9 things, each one of them with a price tag that goes even beyond the cost of bail, and tell me that's the answer. For me, that wasn't the answer.
Is you good, Adam? Go ahead.
Not entirely. I mean, the problem I have is that one. I mean, and you. I know you're familiar with this because this is like a big issue that happened over the session. One of the biggest problems is that a lot of politicians in power in Annapolis weren't being honest about their relationships with the bail industry, and also in terms of where the resources are going. Like, black people in Baltimore should not be paying millions of dollars in bail premiums every year to the bail industry, and that industry directly profiteers from the suffering of our people. That's and right. I was deeply disappointed as an advocate and who's been in Annapolis on this issue, and seeing how, because as far as you are concerned in Annapolis, like, you've been pretty good on issues relating to our community, but on this particular issue, I was really surprised that you ended up where you ended up, especially with Bobby Zirkin, who is chair of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate. But in terms of his work in Annapolis, he's been directly impeding a lot of the work that advocates have been doing in Annapolis, not just on this issue, but on multiple issues on criminal justice.
Policeman Bill of Rights, that's to be able.
So all of those issues have been impeded by him directly, and your support of him through this bill to me was deeply disappointing. But we can disagree here. We can talk about it later. But
let me just say this: you're right, and I am disagreeing with this, and no one can answer this question. I am not for shifting a financial burden. I agree it's a financial burden. I agree it's wrong. Bail is wrong as we implement it. But to shift it to another industry is just as wrong. And that is all that we've done with this. You're saying, no, you're not. You haven't been to court. You haven't been found guilty. But while you're waiting for 7 or 8 months, you're going to pay $400 a month because the only way we can let you out of here is with the ankle bracelet. You're going to pay.
That's for a non-violent. That's for a non-violent. They have to wear a bracelet.
There are other counties that have figured out this question in terms of pretrial services, though, like in St. Mary's County.
Sir, you and I both know the state is not going to pay for that.
Right, but we're still shifting the financial burden onto residents who are poor in working class neighborhoods in Baltimore. So that's
Which is what we don't want to do.
Right, that's the problem. That is the status quo, though. To say you're shifting money, that's the status quo. Black people are paying large amounts of bail premiums to corporations that benefit directly off of mass incarceration.
And
the only way you can change that is pretrial reform.
Companies at more money than that. Look, if I'm going to pay $500 and just wait until my court term, maybe as a school teacher, I may decide to do that. I don't want to pay 8 months while I'm waiting for trial. And this is the next industry that we are financing through this bill. The industry that we are financing are all of these pre-trial. I've got to go to counseling. I can't drink alcohol. I've got to now have a blood test and a urine test. You mean to tell me you put all those 9 things together, each with a price tag, and going to tell me that's better than bail? It's not better than bail. And until we rework the whole system and not just change the code, you and I will always be arguing over which system is best. I don't want to argue over which system is best. I want to argue over what is just in the beginning.
Exactly. See, we agree there in terms of what's just in the beginning, but one of the problems that has come up over the session is that people were not being supportive of community-based alternatives, not just a pretrial industry. Because I agree, but someone paying for an ankle bracelet every month for hundreds of dollars for an ankle bracelet isn't justice either. But the issue is, right? No, I agree. But I'm saying the issue is, how do you create the least onerous conditions, least painful conditions for a person to be released from jail? And so an example of that, you can have a community-based program. Like, there are lots of programs in Baltimore run by our community that people could be a part of, that people could participate in, that they wouldn't have to pay money to be a part of. And if you're paying a community-based practitioner, that's not paying someone for an ankle bracelet. You're paying a black person who is in that industry or that's working in counseling or working in human and social services, and they already do that. I would rather pay that person to work with people who are about to go to jail or about to be in pretrial services. I would rather pay them instead of paying for an ankle bracelet. But the problem is that, like you said, there is an industry in the criminal justice system.
The profits.
There's an industry behind mass incarceration. There's an industry to it, and I think it's a very weak argument to say let's not shift it one to the other, because your argument sustains the bail industry, and that's the question that no one can answer. How do you not sustain the bail industry?
And in all due respect, your argument then does the same thing for the ankle bracelet system and
we agree about that, though. We agree.
The urine analysis system, it does the same thing. And all my bill said was to put them both, study them both, and let's come back with an answer so that maybe what you just said would be an answer.
Right.
It certainly isn't an answer today, and it's not going to be an answer for any time.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you. There was a great debate. Thank you all. Thank you.
Absolutely great.
Yes, it really was. It was great simply because the people.
Love y'all guys.
We love you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your honesty, your integrity, and we wish you the best. And anything we can do, if you need to get back on and need us, we'd love to talk to you some more. Anything we can do to help you, because we see you. We appreciate your candidness and your honesty, integrity. Thank you. Have a great day, sir.
You do the same.
All right.
Great debate.
That was a great debate. Thank you, Adam.
Very important.
Very important.
We talked about it a lot for several months.
Yeah, really? I guess you did.
I heard him. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, okay. Perfect timing you being here, huh?
That's a good thing.
Next, Charles. Charles, they say this is the good Charles. I don't know if there's a bad one.
Well, this is the bad Charles.
Okay.
Because time is, let me be very brief. First of all, hopelessness, helplessness, powerlessness, rage, and despair is the heartbeat of the problem facing our people. And the source of that problem is white people who pump in drugs. They're the ones who pump in the guns. They're in control of the whole thing. But here's the problem that I have, and I'll be very brief with this. Black leadership is a miserable failure in dealing with the problem for 2 reasons. One, you got two kinds of black people on the radio. You got those who are paid to be on the radio. They're paid to push the agenda of white people. And so they're not going to say anything, or when they're addressing the problem, they're not going to say anything that would offend those white people. And then you got those who pay for their own time. And I want you to take this. This is not directed at you, Patsy.
Oh, no.
You got those who pay for their own time with money that comes from white people. And so whenever they discuss the problem, they're going to do the same thing as the other Negroes. They're not going to say anything that they know would offend white people who's paying for their time to be on the air.
Yes, sir.
So that's why whenever you talk on, when you turn on black radio, all you hear is this beat down on black people. This beat down, it's the parents' fault. It all starts in the home. Black people are mentally ill. We don't talk about racism. But I heard racism is a mental illness.
No, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And they talk about the NRA, white people who pump guns and drugs into the community. Black people in Baltimore City, for example, are trapped by white people. The misery that black people suffer is trapped by white people.
Yes.
The only time they talk about the black community is when there's crime.
Yes.
And election time, when they can hype it up.
Yes.
Otherwise, they don't give a damn about the massive suffering that occurs in the black community throughout the whole year.
Charles, and that they are inflicting in so many ways. But you know what? We know it. We talk about it. But the one thing that is before us is we got to get the kids before the poison seeps in. Yeah. So I hear you. And I agree with
I'm going with this one.
Okay.
The problem affecting black people transcends both political parties now. It goes to the very structure of racial oppression.
Yes.
That goes beyond the Democratic and Republican Party are nothing but advocates. Our oppression goes far beyond them. That's why I talk about the structure of black people's suffering.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I gotta go. Call us again. Yeah, you were on point, and we agree with you 100%. I believe everybody does. Smitty, welcome. You got a quick one for me?
Yeah, I just want to tell you, Patrick, my father and mother is in their 80s, and this morning I'm on bed rest myself, but I was informed that their house is burned down, and they're 80 years old. But I want to say this here to you. If the world is moving in a stage where all of us got to have degrees, then I tell you what, that means that the people who have the degrees are being hard because they got the degrees. We sure got a poor showing that we're showing people of how we supposed to work and help one another. We've been in this condition, and I've been home I looked at the Black Panthers. They were asking for the same thing, demands that we're asking for now.
30 years ago.
Better schools, better seeding of the community, and we're right at the same struggle today.
Yes, we are, Smitty. Thank you. I gotta go. And so sorry to hear about your parents.
Yes, man. Yes.
Adam, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get to ask you about the funds, but I want to have you back on as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
And we want to talk to you. In fact, we're going to corner you before you leave here today and get some questions answered we can bring back to the people. Leo has got an event happening on the 25th of July the 8th.
No, that's past. I'm sorry.
Why you give me this?
Well, I wanted to tell you something about history.
July 29th, family, we're going to be having a concert pool party out at Roger Carter Community Center. It's sponsored by Taba, Black Veggie Society. We're going to be out there performing Unification Solutions Majority League, so get with us. Positive Charge Youth Program.
The 17th is the next Roots of Scouting meeting. We want everybody there at 7 o'clock, Monday the 17th of July, St. Cecilia Church, Hilton Street and Windsor Avenue.
All right, don't forget tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Liberty Rec and Tech. Let's solutions to the violence. Don't miss this meeting, you all. Bring the babies with you, too. Bring your children with you. They need to see what you're doing towards fighting for their future. Bring the kids. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Adam, thank you again, Adam Jackson. Thank you again, Wayno.
Hey, August 19th, man, Pat hosting the Spirit Festival at Rogers Station. I already put them down and booked them. Look at his eyes big as I don't know what. So, yo, check it out. Yeah, man, Spirit Festival. We have it up there at Rogers Station. Yeah, so it's a back-to-school festival. So if you want to donate supplies, get with us, family.
Fred, sorry we had to go. God bless. Have a great day. Say goodbye, Wayno.
Love you, family.
Say goodbye, Leo.
Goodbye.
Say bye, Jason.
Love you, family.
Adam, again, bless you and thank you for coming. You've been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. Have a blessed week.
I need you.
WOLB Baltimore, a Radio 1 station where information is power.
This is Morette inviting you to join me at Rooted Bible Fellowship this Friday.
Hey everybody, this is Karan Jones. Join me next Friday at 8 p.m. at Rooted Bible Fellowship Church in Edgewood, Maryland for Fresh Faces of Gospel and my CD release. Joining me are Karan Fowler, Shannon Ramsey, Naja Scott and Divine Anointing.
Hey everybody, this is Naja Scott of Naja Scott and Divine Anointing, and we'll be performing our new debut single, Call on Jesus.
Jewel Imani, Chester Burke and Company,